wind cut through the winter air like a warning, sharp and unforgiving, as Hannah Mercer hurried across the snow-covered sidewalk of a quiet street in Michigan. Her heart raced with each step, not because of the cold, but because the little boy in her arms, her 3-year-old son Noah, was shivering harder than he should have been. His tiny fingers clutched at her coat, his breath trembling, his eyes glazed with fear he didn't fully understand. The world around them blurred into gray shapes of buildings and passing cars, but Hannah felt painfully alone in that moment, a mother fighting a battle the world couldn't see. She had misjudged the weather, misjudged how long they would be out, and misjudged her own ability to shield her child from the harshness of the night. And as she whispered apologies into the wind, guilt clawed at her chest, threatening to crush what little strength she was holding on to. If you believe small acts of kindness still matter, and that second chances can come from unexpected places, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps keep these heart-touching stories alive. Hannah had been working a double shift at a small bakery, pushing herself past exhaustion to keep up with rent and daycare and the never-ending responsibilities of raising a child alone. She had to pick Noah up early when the heating at the daycare malfunctioned, and in her rush, she forgot to pack his thicker jacket. Now both of them were caught in a sudden temperature drop, and the warmth she tried to wrap around him with her own coat wasn't enough. Noah pressed his red cheek against her shoulder, and his whimper cut into her like a blade. She kept walking, her eyes scanning for any place to shelter them for a moment. Something, anything, to help her warm him until she could reach the bus stop. But the street was strangely quiet. Stores already closed, windows dark, and the world felt too big and too indifferent. Just as despair began tightening its grip around her, Hannah sensed movement behind her. She turned slightly unsure and worried, only to see a man approaching, his steps careful, his expression open, concerned but gentle. He looked to be in his mid-30s with warm brown hair, kind eyes, and a navy coat that looked far warmer than anything she had ever owned. For a split second, her protective instinct flared, sharp and instinctive. She tightened her hold on Noah, ready to keep moving. But the stranger raised a hand slowly, stopping at a respectful distance, his voice low enough that it didn't startle her or the child. And in that single moment, something in his demeanor, calm, sincere, grounded, softened the fear in her chest. He wasn't approaching to intrude or question her. He was approaching because he saw a child trembling in his mother's arms. Hannah didn't know how to explain her situation without feeling ashamed. She didn't want pity, didn't want judgment. She only wanted Noah to stop shivering. As she struggled to think of something to say, the man understood. He took a breath, gently unbuttoning his coat, not to give it to her, but to reveal a soft, insulated children's jacket tucked neatly inside, as if he had hesitated to offer it too quickly. He extended it toward her with slow, respectful hands. Hannah stared at it, startled and overwhelmed. It was the perfect size, warm, thick, and clearly new. He explained in a quiet and steady voice that he had picked it up earlier that day for a charity drop-off that had ended before he arrived. He had kept it with him, hoping to pass it along another day. But Noah needed it now. The world, which had moments ago felt so cold and heavy, seemed to pause around them. Hannah blinked against the sting in her eyes, her throat tightening. She couldn't speak at first. She could only nod, her lips trembling as she accepted the jacket with both hands. The man didn't touch Noah. He simply stepped back a little to give her space as she gently slid her son's arms into the sleeves. Noah relaxed almost instantly, his body curling into the soft warmth. And when Hannah looked up, the snowflakes drifting between her and the stranger felt like a quiet blessing. This man, this complete stranger, had appeared in the very moment she needed help the most. As they stood on the sidewalk, Hannah felt something inside her begin to shift. The exhaustion she carried, the constant weight of trying to provide, the fear of falling short, all of it softened in the presence of one simple act of kindness. The stranger introduced himself as Marcus, a graphic designer who lived just a few blocks away. He kept his voice soft and his posture open, never stepping closer than she allowed. Hannah appreciated that more than he could ever know. She told him she worked at the bakery on Pine Street and was just trying to get Noah home before the cold worsened. Marcus nodded with quiet understanding, and then he simply offered to walk them to the bus stop, not out of assumption or pressure, but out of genuine care. The walk felt different now. The world didn't seem as bleak, and each step Hannah took felt a little less heavy. As snow crunched under their feet, Marcus shared that he was raised by a single mother, and winter was always the hardest season for them. He knew intimately the fear of not having enough. Enough warmth, enough security, enough support. Hannah listened, surprised to feel comfort rather than embarrassment. She didn't have to explain her struggles. Marcus had already lived shades of them. By the time they reached the bus stop, Noah had relaxed completely, his sleepy head resting against Hannah's shoulder. She brushed a hand over his hair, feeling an overwhelming wave of gratitude rise in her chest. Before Marcus left, he gently offered her a paper bag filled with pastries from a cafe he had just visited, saying he was headed home and wouldn't eat them all. Hannah again felt tears threaten, not because of the pastries, but because someone had noticed her struggles and responded with kindness instead of judgment. As she boarded the bus with Noah, safe and warm in her arms, Hannah looked out the window and saw Marcus still standing there, giving her a small, reassuring nod before turning and walking into the snowy night. It was a simple gesture, but it planted hope deep inside her, hope she hadn't felt in a long time. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating stories that remind the world of compassion. Before we end, share in the comments. Do you believe one small act can change someone's life? Hannah held Noah a little tighter as the bus rumbled forward, realizing that kindness, real, quiet, human kindness, still existed in the world. And sometimes it arrived at the exact moment you needed it most.